The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. You can also go to my website, which is jareddillianmoney.com. That's jareddillianmoney.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter at DailyDirtNap, which has been lots of fun lately. I do have a quick story here. A Michigan man said his local store clerk alerted him to the fact that he won $25,000 a year for life from a lottery drawing. The story's not that interesting. $25,000 a year for life. That's so. I guess if he won that at age 30, and you got $25,000 a year for 40 years, that's $1 million. Which, you know, it's better than a kick in the groin. But it's not like amazing. You know, there's actually, I've seen scratch offs where you win $5,000 a week for life. $5,000 a week for life is pretty dang good. That's not bad. $25,000. I mean, look, if you're making $40,000 a year, that makes a significant difference. But I don't know. It's maybe I'm just a rich jerk, you know. But $25,000 a year for life. I mean, it doesn't suck. I like the $5,000 a week for life better because that's like real cash flow. Like, I wonder if that hits your account every week. I mean, does that get like wired into your bank account like $5,000 every week? Like that's pretty good. I could spend that. Put that over there. We were talking about how the government is doing two smart things right now, and the government is being smart. The government is thinking about issuing 50-year bonds and locking in ultra-low interest rates for 50 years, which we have to do. And, you know, Mnuchin he's been yapping about this for the last 3 years, and they haven't done it, and they've done a bunch of studies on it, and ultimately he came back and said that there was no demand for 50-year bonds, which I just do not find to be credible. I do not find that to be credible. Pension funds would buy it. All kinds of people would buy it. Now, you might say, why would you buy a bond that pays 2% for 50 years? The answer is because it's better than pretty much anything else right now. You know? So that's a super smart thing to do to lock in our borrowing costs. The number two thing that the government is doing that is smart. You're not going to believe this. They are adding oil to the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Okay. So we have this thing called the SPR, and it's really kind of for national security purposes. We keep, I don't know what the exact number is. It's like 600 million, 800 million barrels of oil. We keep them in tanks, and it just sits there, and we wait for like a war. Like that's really what it's for. It's for a war. And we have this Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and it just sits there. Now, in the past, we've also used the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to manipulate prices. And Trump has done this. Now, if you go back, I don't remember what year it was. Maybe it was like 2-3 years ago. Oil prices were higher, 60, 70, 80 bucks, something like that. Oil prices started to get a little high, and Trump released X amount of barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. He basically sold it on the open market, got cash. And that was a very naked political attempt to score points by lowering gas prices. There was nothing strategic about it. Trump wasn't trying to make money or trade or do anything strategic. He was just trying to lower gas prices so he would become more popular. And it was, you know what, he's actually not the first president to do that. That's happened in the past. So, but now we're buying oil for the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And they announced this on the day that oil got down to $20 a barrel. So this is actually pretty smart, because if you think about it, the government is buying low and selling high. It's pretty amazing. Like, I have to say, I'm honestly impressed. And when they announced that they were adding oil to the SPR, the price of oil today went up in percentage terms. It went up the most in, I don't remember, like 20 years or something like that. But it went from $20 a barrel to $25 a barrel in one day, which is like a 25% return. So the government is doing some smart things right now. I mean, it's funny how like a crisis focuses people's attention. If you go back a month ago, we were just arguing with each other. We were just like yelling about inequality and socialism and, you know, all this nonsense. And all that's gone out the window. I don't know. Like, I was actually talking to somebody on the phone today, and we were discussing the fact that maybe some good is going to come out of this. Like all the partisan nonsense has kind of died down. So this is the sort of thing that government is good at. As for the bailouts, which are not good, none of that is good. That's not good. The government is talking about taking equity stakes in companies. So basically, a company would sell either probably preferred stock, not common stock, but I don't know. But they would sell stock to the government. So if, you know, just say, for example, American Airlines, the government would buy $1 billion worth of stock, and American Airlines would get $1 billion worth of liquidity, and they could hang around for a couple more months. And now the government actually owns a piece of American Airlines. That's not good. We don't want the government to own companies. We don't. Now, this has happened before. This happened in the financial crisis with the banks. And the banks got bailed out, and that's exactly how it happened. The government, I don't think they bought maybe they did buy common stock. And it's been so long ago, I can't remember. But the government bought stock in not just the big five banks, but hundreds of banks. And they also bought warrants, which are basically options. So they bought stock and warrants. And I got to tell you, the banks were in a big hurry to pay back this money. They were in a big hurry to pay back this money because now once the government is an owner of the company, they start getting involved in the day-to-day management. Now, under Obama, the government really never got involved in the day-to-day management of banks, but they did put a lot of restrictions on them. Restrictions on compensation, restrictions on this, restrictions on that. And the banks didn't like these restrictions, so the banks are like, this sucks. We want to pay this off as soon as possible. And there were really no lessons learned from that, because now, like, we're basically, you know, the airlines and Boeing and all these companies are just like, they're just walking in, they're just blundering into this. They're like, we need help. And they're not even really thinking about the conditions that this is going to come under. So, like I said, nobody learns anything from anything. All kinds of problems here. You really do not want the government to own private companies, which is kind of the definition of socialism, which is nuts, because this is what we were going nuts about like a month ago with Bernie Sanders and socialism. And here we are talking about bailing out companies and taking equity stakes and the government owning companies. These are crazy times. And someday somebody might decide that you know what, the airlines are better off owned by the government. We'll have national airlines. That's not good. Do you want to fly on a government plane? I don't want to fly on a government plane. It sets a terrible precedent. The tip for you as an investor is you want to get ahead of this. If you think the Fed is going to buy corporate bonds, then you buy corporate bonds. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.
Jared Dillian. Now you know a rich guy.